Hey friends, happy Saturday afternoon. Thanks for checking me out. Had some really wild dreams and some other thoughts, so I thought I'd pop on quick. Got my coffee here. Keep calm, call mom. So pardon me for the swig. Hope you're doing well, and I appreciate you tuning in. So let's see. I'm finally getting my head wrapped around the fact that the stupid GOP has the House, and they're going to make all their noise, and they're going to do all their stupid stuff, and we just got to sit with it for a while and wait for them to shoot each other in the circular firing squad. Not literally, although they're dumb enough. Removing the metal detectors from the Capitol. I mean, are you kidding? You know, all this political theater, tiresome. So, but let's talk about where they are and what they're doing. And what, from my point of view, the GOP, like, they have embraced darkness, for lack of a better description, to really, really simplify things. And I doubt they would see it that way. But when you spend your time plotting how to hurt other people, how to be mischievous, how to cause problems where there aren't problems, how to fabricate stories about others in order to further your own political agenda. That's all darkness. And remember what darkness is. Darkness is nothing but the absence of light. So actually, darkness is nothing. There's nothing there. So if these people appear powerful or if they seem mysterious, it's an illusion. And this is one of the tricks that I feel like that dark forces play. They might give the impression of confidence and certainty, same meaning. They come on strong, but really, when you peel away all the layers of that false identity, what you find really beneath it all is a lot of fear and a lot of insecurity and probably self-loathing. But further beneath that, when you peel back what is at the heart of darkness, apologies to Joseph Conrad. He wrote The Heart of Darkness, upon which Apocalypse Now is based, which is very much about darkness. When you peel it all away, what you find is nothing. There's nothing there. There's no substance. That's what a black hole. That's what it is. It is the absence of substance. And this is where I feel like the GOP is really screwing up long term, because now their party represents nothing. They are a black hole party. Like they have embraced, this darkness to an extent that it has sort of destroyed what used to be a party that actually had, or at least pretended to have, principles and a stated agenda. Now it's just a party of grievance, and that gets tiresome. And so hopefully they will spend their time wasting it and revealing to the rest of the country that they're still not fit to lead. And we will see the House shift back to Democrats next year. But, I'm not going to spend a lot of time thinking about it or even really paying attention to their shenanigans, because I just don't care, and it's not interesting. And that's the thing with anyone who presents themselves like, that's one of I would say the tools that darkness tends to employ. We got people who really try to be of the light and do the best by others that they can in life. And then you got people who don't. And when they embrace that, they sometimes their seeming confidence, which is a construct, they may have an air of mystery. But the thing is, when you peel away those layers, if you were able, they'll never really show you their true face, because there isn't one. Like when you peel all the layers, it's like a unraveling an onion. You get to the center and there's nothing there. It's the absence of substance. And so I might suggest it's not worth thinking about too deeply, or trying to ponder like why, like the motivations of the why do they behave this way, because there isn't a reason beyond their selfishness, their insecurity, and their fear, and there's no substance. So enough said about that. Now, speaking of black holes, when I was traveling, I'm referencing a text that I sent to my mom about this. When I was on my way to my gig last week, I played at a small bar in the suburbs. I was thinking about frequencies of sound. I mean, I think about sound a lot as a musician and just in general. And the universe is, everything is vibrational in this universe. All the atoms of our body are vibrational. And everything in the universe vibrates at various frequencies. I've mentioned before, and in my first book, that the Earth has a super low frequency that we can't hear. It's too low for human ears. And when you really get down low, black holes have a massively low frequency. They resonate at a super duper low frequency that actually, if you were anywhere near a black hole, if you could be somehow, you would be instantly atomized. The vibration would be so low, you would disintegrate upon encountering it. It would just turn you to dust. Now, when you think about how powerfully low that would have to be to disassemble the human body, it's not even really something you can imagine. But I was thinking more about the fact that that's a sound too. We can't hear that low, but if we could hear that low, a black hole would be like, I think I read once how many octaves below like the human hearing range a black hole would be, and it's crazy. It's so low. But I had this weird idea of a cosmic entity being able to compose celestial music from the sounds of the natural sounds of the universe. So, like, you know what a bass guitar sounds like? It's the low instrument in a song, like do 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 boom 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 boom. You know, they're playing the bass lines beneath the chords, which are played on other instruments like guitars and pianos and things. And then the low frequencies kind of like give you the groove along with the drums. But they also resonate in a way that fills the lower end of our hearing range, and sort of gives a kind of warmth to a song too. Often, I think I had a point with this, but it's starting to escape me. Oh yeah, so I was imagining as I was driving some kind of cosmic entity that like could actually hear the lowness of a black hole, and that you could compose music around these cosmic frequencies that human beings can't hear in. You could compose music from those sounds, because they exist just like the audible range of sound that we can hear with our ears. Don't ask me why I had that thought. That's just how my brain works. So I'm contemplating super low frequency cosmic music while I'm driving. And that night, of course, I had a dream about it. And here's my note about that, which I wrote to my mom in a text. So I wrote, I had a deep dream of being at a small artistic community compound, like maybe near New York, but sort of out in the woods. And I was touring myself as a musician, and I stopped in to play some music for a few dozen people. And it was like they got me. They understood me, and I was shocked because I'm not used to people getting me. And after this performance, which may have been more like an open microphone, we talked and exchanged art. And the owner was a creative techie loner. He showed us an amazing invention he'd made. It was a sound system which you ride. It had two huge speakers strapped to the bottom, emitting low bass tones. And the tones were so low that the device levitated. He rode it from his house to the stage playing a low-frequency song on the fly. Then he landed it. Okay, so let me expand on that. So this guy, this inventor who lives at this artistic compound, which ironically seemed like it could have been the future, but also had a rustic feel, like it was of the past. So not sure what to make of that. He makes this sound device that is so low frequency, not as low frequency as a black hole, but like has the low pumping sounds of bass, and that's what powers the engines. And you get on it almost like a bike, and when you power it up, the engines, which are pointed at the ground, but they're actually like speaker cabinets, audio speaker cabinets, they boom so forcefully that it lifts it propels, it elevates the machine, and you can ride it on playing low frequency sound from out of the speakers attached to this bike. So I hope you can visualize that now. And that's what he did. He went to his house, and he came back and surprised us by riding this bike on these low frequencies into the garage, and he landed it. And that just made me laugh. So, and there's some truth to it. If you had enough power, and there was a speaker you could fabricate that would generate, enough of a low frequency to overcome the force of gravity, you could actually ride a sound bike. But you'd need a lot of power to do that, a lot of juice. And I don't have the, I can't give you any more insight on whether that actually has any, is it in any way actually feasible, but it's just a dream. It's just a thought I had. So hold on one second. I haven't really been awake that long, so that's why I'm a little lucid. Last night I was putting some final edits into the next book because my mom gave me a few notes. She read through the book, and she found a couple things that needed to be tweaked where I didn't have the details of things that had happened involving her and my brother quite correct. So I was working on those corrections and working on some music last night, et cetera, trying to be productive. And then I have a performance tonight at a Buffalo bar not far from my home called the Public House. On Delaware Avenue. There's a couple public houses, so I play one out in another suburb called Hamburg during the summer on the lake. But anyway, when I dreamt last night, I was so far away. It was another one of those deep cosmic dreams, and when I woke up, I was like, wow. Like I felt like I had been on the other side of the universe, kind of. And this was a very interesting dream that I kind of feel like I may fail to describe properly, and I wish I could give you the visuals better, but I'll try. It was a gathering of souls, if you will. It was almost like being in a church of a kind, but not associated with a religion, like a church hall, like a sacred space. And I was there, and everyone there were all the souls there, which I didn't see people so much as I saw like energy. Like people were more like energy shapes and colors than they were solid bodies. And the group of us were all getting ready to depart Earth. Our lives were over, and it was time to leave. And we were sort of like in between realms. Like I didn't know if we were dead yet or not, or if we were just on the way to being dead. Anyway, it wasn't morbid. That's not the point. So I'm in this space, and it's a joyful kind of celebration of transitioning to the next realm. And what I was really struck by this feeling of being part of a larger group. It was kind of neat. I didn't really seem to know anybody in this particular group, but if you think about it, and my mom mentioned this when I spoke with her earlier this afternoon, she looks on the obituary pages of the daily newspaper every day, and she said there were like 3.5 pages. And so that's people leaving this community of about 1 million people every day. Well, whatever day one might die, there would be other people in your community who would die, people you probably didn't know mostly. And that's sort of what maybe this was like. It was like the people who had died that day, and I was among them, and it was time to get ready to go. But in departing, we were sort of getting ready to make a journey through the stars to get back to source, I guess, or heaven. And it was kind of beautiful because there was a lot of imagery that I'm having trouble recollecting, but like I just remember kind of like a lot of color, just in the room, streams of color, and like some imagery of water flowing. But again, it's hard to describe. I wish I could nail that part down better. Feel like I'm failing on that. But what was interesting to me was that the group had to be like purified before we made our journey, by which I mean we had a few kind of imposters among us. We had a few people who were not so much of the light in the group, and in that environment they were obvious. Like it was like as soon as you trained your third eye on them, you could see what they really were. So in a couple cases, a couple of beings who were masquerading as people were more like goblins, and so they were expelled from the room. I don't know if they were trying to hitch a ride to heaven that they weren't entitled to take. Not sure about that. And then there were other people there who thought they were ready to make this journey, but then they really weren't. And one person was even kind of panicky about it, and she sort of removed herself from the group. I guess it wasn't her time. And then another person who was departing was trying to like get me not to go. Like they were like kind of like grabbing onto me, like don't go, stay here on Earth with me instead. But they didn't appear to have good intentions either. So I kind of like peeled them off my arm, my nebulous arm, and they departed too. And so then once the group had been purged, if you will, then it was time to leave. And we departed the planet like a chain of souls. We were told to grab onto the soul next to you on both sides. And so even though I didn't really have a hand, like the idea of my left hand was grabbing the soul next to me, and also my right, I was holding the next soul in the chain. And I don't know, it could have been 30 people or 50 people, 50 souls. I'm just guessing. And then we took off. We left, and we immediately like launched into the sky, and and it was like when you look out an airplane window, seeing the ground start to fall away, and then the whole area from a distance, and then I could see the Earth from space, and it appeared to be like a super colorful paper mache construction. It was very artificial and cartoony, but beautiful. It had a ton of color in it, more color than it would naturally when photographed from space. Like it was more like oranges and browns were dominant, sort of in the motif, and of course the water was blue, but the land masses were like exaggeratedly orange and brown. and beautiful. And I was struck by how quickly we had gone from ground to sky. Like it was so fast. And it was like, wow, okay, wow, we're really going and we're saying goodbye. And I could feel us moving up through clouds when we departed. And space itself wasn't really black the way I would have expected, and with stars, it was more kind of like like a grayish color. With even space had like what appeared to be like clouds in it. So I'm not sure what that's about. That was a little confusing. It was hard to know exactly where we were in space once we cleared Earth, because I didn't really see much. Like looking straight ahead, once we cleared Earth, it was just sort of empty. Like because we had apparently cleared. Because I heard someone say that we cleared the solar system, and realizing just how quickly that had happened was strange in sort of saying goodbye to Earth behind us. And then there was once again another person who kind of like panicked, and it was actually a girl who was hanging on to my right side, or my right hand. She'd like changed her mind, and she didn't want to go now either. And what happened was the environment. This is very confusing. The environment sort of transformed to like like a laboratory. And I could see these technicians who were maybe in charge of helping us transport to where we were going. It was like the omniscient view, and then I like saw our group sort of like from the omniscient view. It was like I was viewing our group as a chain of souls on some kind of surface that the technician was working on. And it was like the technician, who was female, extracted the girl who did not want to go on this journey any longer, extracted her from our group, like almost like with like little pliers, and placed her in the center of the table. And then I could hear them talking among themselves about like if our group of souls was too far from Earth for her to be sent back now, like since we had cleared the solar system, but they were going to take care of it. And so I had the feeling she would be sent back as she desired. And then when she was out of the group, it was like they like sort of so surgically like linked the next person back up to me in the chain so that we could continue to travel as we were intended to. But as I said, now it was like a lab environment instead of being in space. So I don't know. I don't understand what that's about. I don't really understand any of it. And what's interesting about the lab is I kind of had the feeling like they had on like little like visors, or like even like, those magnification goggles, like if you're working with jewelry. It seemed like that kind of a shop, almost like a jeweler's. And I had a point there. Oh, what was it? So they extracted her from the group and looking at us. But they were talking, the group. Oh, I know what it was. As these people, these technicians were talking among themselves, I realized I couldn't see their faces. So I don't know what that was about, even though I tried to. It was just more that I felt their presence and heard their voices. And then the same woman who had extracted the girl from our group, who did not want to continue on the journey to the other side, to heaven, to back to source or whatever, she poked a small hole in my finger, in my pinky, and she began to, like, as she squeezed it, these small little cell battery sized coins started popping out. And she was just squeezing them out of my finger. And the coins were in a bowl. And like they filled a bowl like this size. They were just coin, like tons of coins. And I wasn't sure what that was about. And then it was like they wouldn't come out of this hole anymore. It was too small. And then she made like a little like slit, not painful, between my two fingers, and she kept extracting the coins, and they were really pouring out, and it was pleasant. I don't know if they represented good deeds I had done or what, but they were like the good coins, so to speak. And then, right near the end of the dream, the bad coins had to come out too. Like she had to extract the bad coins too. Maybe those were misdeeds or things that I'm not proud of, or not my best moments. And as soon as the bad coins started coming out, then I felt pain. It hurt as those coins were coming out, but yet I knew they had to come out. So like, oh, whoa, you hit the spot. And I was like, wow. And those were coming out too, but there weren't that many of those coins. And that was kind of like the end of the dream. So I know that's a lot. If you actually watched and listened to 26 minutes of this, I hope you're not bored to death or too confused. I find it confusing too. If this is interesting to you at all, you're welcome to dissect the symbolism. But I don't know if after she extracted the coins from me, whether I was like meant to be, go back to my group in the chain of souls and then continue on our journey, or if we had reached our intended destination and she was just like doing some processing on my soul before whatever else that was going to happen was going to happen. Oh, but I just remembered now I remembered an important detail that I told my mom. This technician said to me, but also to one of the other technicians, "Oh, you're on your way to the saddle." The saddle, like a saddle on a horse. And when she said it, I felt a sense of, I felt a feeling of recognition, because I've been having all these dreams about the Old West and cowboys lately, and I don't know what that's all about exactly, except for something that Kim Carey said in her video from last week, where she said that she felt, it was a video with Andre, the astrologer, and she was saying that she felt that the energies that we were in currently had more to do with the early 1900s than say the Civil War energies or the revolutionary energies at the foundation of this country, because it's like Wild West kind of energies. She felt that the problems that we were seeing stemmed more from that kind of mentality than even, like I said, the Civil War. And that's interesting because that crosses over with my dreams, where my dreams seem to be set, early 1900s, 1910s, 1920s maybe, or maybe even late 1800s in a few cases. Like that house I've dreamt of a few times that seems to be a small house in an old town. And then I had the cowboy dream where I was actually a cowboy with the hat and Western wear and maybe a pistol. So when the technician in the dream said, "You're on your way to the saddle," it felt familiar, but I don't know why. So I'm afraid that that's more or less the end of my dream explanation. I hope it wasn't frustrating to watch because the answers are so few. To me, the dreams are really more about the journey. When I woke up, I felt my head was abuzz. I was still in the zone, and I could feel my head was even kind of doing the inadvertent head swaying, bobbing. So I felt like I had been away, maybe astrally I had been away. And I thanked Spirit for the adventure. And for some reason I asked Mother Mary to hold me. and I felt like kind of a warm presence around me, and like kind of like, my head was kind of doing this gentle thing. And like I said, I just woke up sort of like energized and buzzed. And I think maybe that's part of the dreams sometimes too. They give me, as adventures, they give me a kind of energy from outside that is, they maybe they re-spark my imagination, or maybe as a Pisces, part of what I do when I dream is I dip back into that which is unformed. The place where things come from, all things come from. That, like, we exist here in this realm in form, but many people say that the other side is formless, and that's where things are conjured and created and come into form to enter this reality. And I don't have an answer for whether that's true, but it often feels like that the dream world and the creative mind of spirit and God is very similar, or even the same place, and that things emanate from there. They bubble there in a creative way, and then they manifest here. But I don't know. That's just me riffing. That's what it feels like, though. Because really, the mind of God would be all possibilities. If God is infinite and infinitely creative, then everything which can be imagined can be created. And I like that space. That space to me is more meaningful than this space. Not that I don't love this existence. I do. You got to take it for what it is. It's an experience. Like, to have a life on Earth, especially at this like very, very, very unusual and interesting time where we're in the midst of a technical revolution that may even transform humanity into something very different in the next 100 years. Like, we may be halfway through a kind of going from the Industrial Revolution to like maybe something that's post-human. And so to live here at this particular time is like, we're among the very few souls to have this kind of experience, because humanity existed for tens of thousands of years without much technological change, and now it's like all change. So I don't mean to say that that this life isn't meaningful, and there's so much beauty in the world among the things which are tragic too, but yet somehow that formless space sometimes seems more real to me than this place does. Trying to decide if what I just said is true. Maybe. All right, so 33 minutes. Yikes. I don't know what this video is. If you watched it, God love you. Thanks for tuning in. Maybe it was a good distraction, if nothing more. Comments always welcome. Feedback always welcome. I think that's about it. I'll pop back when I have more cosmic stuff to share. And take care in the meantime. Send out love and light to you. Oh, yes, love and light. That was another thing I was thinking about when I woke up. Since I was in a sort of like happy space, I thought about, I tried to grab the energy that was around me in my mind and like send it out to exist like around the globe, add to like the light that's around the world. And then I imagined, I've done this visualization a few times. Like I said, okay, send that light out to the world. Surround the world with loving, healing, protective white light. And then like pump that light up. By which I mean like literally stick a pump in like here's the world, and here's the ring of light around the world. Stick a pump in this ring of light and keep pumping it until it keeps expanding, so that the dark claw that's been tried to get its hands over the world for the past several years loses its grip. So that was the visualization that I did. Here, one more time. Here's the world. Here's the ring of light, and I just was like, pump it up, pump it up, pump it up. And I imagined that hand being unable to hold the world once we had pumped up the light, love, and so yeah, I'm imagining pushing this pump and saying pump, 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 and yeah, that's my weird wake up. And then I called my mom, and told her about the crazy dream, and about the coins coming out of my hand, and then we talked about a bunch of other stuff for a while. And here I am. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to go practice for my gig. I think I want to pick up a couple more Beatles tunes. I was working on the Ballad of John and Yoko last night. You know that one? By John Lennon, but within the Beatles context. It's the one where he goes, Christ, you know it ain't easy. You know how it can be. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. That one. And see what other Beatle faves I can dig out before it's time to get ready and go. All right, have a great day. Be well. Talk to you real soon. Bye.